good afternoon, it's Laura. We're back again. We've had a couple of weeks off for a bit of leave. I think we all needed a bit of a break this summer. And I'm back in the top garden up at Belville, and it's a gorgeously warm day. It's not, the sun's starting to come out, but it's just like you've stepped into a bit of a warm bath. So I'm just going to find a little bit of a sit spot and have a chat to see how your week's been. How has everyone's week been? Has it been okay? Has everyone managed to get away for a little while this week or this summer, just to have a bit of a chill out, even if it's a bit of a staycation? So I'm thinking about how I'm feeling now. So I'm just sitting down for the first 5 minutes today. Say hello if you're here, and it means that I know who I'm talking to. So I'm just having a bit of a sit down. I've not had a bit of a sit down all day, so I'm just thinking about how I'm feeling. You know, which bits of your body are sore? How's your body talking to you today? So is it your sort of shoulders, or my shoulders are a bit stiff, and so's my neck? I think I must have been crouched over my computer quite a bit today. So I'm just gonna, hi Margaret, hi Michelle. So I'm just gonna stretch out a little bit, and do you know what? If you do that, sometimes it just makes all the difference, because particularly if you're working on computers, you find yourself hunching over, don't you? So I was just saying, Michelle and Margaret, I'm at the very top bit of the garden in the biodiversity garden, because now it's near the end of the summer, so we're just going to have a look around and see what's occurring up at the garden and see what we can spot and see if there's anything on the water. On the water this week's been the Waverley, and it was around earlier this morning, so I was hoping to see and hear it because it's such an amazing sound. Hi Diane, I hope you're well too. I've had a nice couple of weeks. I've had a week off, and I've been 2 weeks away from posting, so I'm really pleased to be back. So how's everybody feeling? Can everybody try and slow down their breathing a little bit? You know, not like labouring it, but just try and stretch a little bit and slow down your breathing, so that you're breathing just slightly deeper and slower, and just try and calm down just in time for the weekend. It's nice just to try and have that little bit of time for yourself, just to recognise that it's been the end of a week, and whatever's happened in the week, you know what, that's happened, and we are where we are, and it's time for the weekend, which is great. I love Friday afternoons. It's the start of something special, hopefully, at the weekend for everybody. So if everyone's just relaxed a bit in their body and just calm their breathing down. I'm sitting, I'll show you where I'm sitting. I'm sitting at a lovely sit spot, which is a little bench, which is at the top garden, the Biodiversity Garden at Belville. And that's got all different types of biodiversity, and by that we mean just different habitats, different places for lots of different creatures to live. So I've got a view here of some wildflowers, and then beyond that I've got a view of the river. I'm going to have a little peek to see if I can see anything floating by. No, there was a fishing defence vehicle called the Minnow here just a few moments ago, but it's just sailed by, unfortunately. So if you're around the corner in Weems Bay, that sort of area, you'll see that coming by soon. It's like a very sort of light green ship, sort of medium size, and I suppose that protects, that's a sort of defence law enforcement ship for protecting fishing. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to have a little stroll about. Now you'll notice, I suppose from last time, I think that the wildflowers are even higher than they were before, if you can see. And you can see that a lot of them have gone to seed. So whereas before we were looking at mainly oxeye daisies, weren't they? Do you remember when I was here before? It must have been a couple of months ago now. It was mainly oxeye daisies, which are the big daisies, and we talked about how every bit of those oxeye daisies, even in the centre, all of the yellow sort of cone part of the centre is actually, each one is of those is an individual flower. So you're talking about hundreds of flowers forming part of one of those yellow parts of the seed heads. Let me go and find one and I'll show you what I mean. So I think it's lovely sometimes just to study a flower, you know, and let's forget all about the week that's been and just concentrate on what we can see and smell and feel as well, because the air's so warm, it has such a different feel to normal. So we're just studying this flower, an oxeye daisy, and I suppose look at the pattern that the central pollen carrying area has, so the yellow area. And as I was explaining, each one of those is a flower. And I think now I'm looking closer, can you see the spiral? There's actually a spiral in it. So these are coming to the end of their flowering season. They flowered for, well, most of the summer really. And now are coming later flowers, so things like these little white ones here. They're actually quite pretty. These are called yarrow. They've also got some medicinal uses as well as yarrow. And they've got lovely frondy leaves, like ferny type leaves. Let me just get that into shot, look. Very delicate leaves. So I'm going to wander along. And as you see, these seed heads that we can see, these are the knapweed seed heads and the oxeye daisy seed heads. So again, it's just starting to become the end of this meadow's life for this year. And very shortly, in a couple of weeks, we shall trim it all down. And what we'll do is we'll take away the risings, and that's the posh word, I suppose, for the grass, the flowers that we've cut down, take them all away. And that's really important to remove them all, because if we don't do that, then they'll all rot down and the ground will become enriched and very fertile, and that's when those thuggish sort of grasses will start to grow. So is everybody just starting to unwind a little bit? Are you able to just maybe sit back in your chair or stand up for a little minute, just to try and breathe a little bit deeper and just try and have an awareness of how your body feels? You know, is it sore? I know some people are recovering from injuries, falling off of buses and things, so they must be pretty sore. Other people, maybe they've just been overdoing it a wee bit in the garden because it's been nicer. I'm going to go and have an exploration of the wood pile. So wood piles are really, really important because as they're rotting down, the way they're stacked together is providing homes for all sorts of different creatures. I dread to think if I move one of these what I'm going to find. So I'm dislodging all sorts of beetles and different things, and as they rot down, natural fungi will come up and start to grow. And it's really good to, if you do fell a tree or do something like that, that you know, try and leave the branches, at least some of the branches, just rot down, because then that fertilizes the tree again and gives it more nutrients to keep growing. I think good gardening is sometimes, for nature anyway, is all about being a wee bit untidy. So I'm going to go and see what's over here. I'm looking for the entrance and some Viper's bugloss. Let's have a wee look. So here's some beautiful pink yarrow. Look at that lovely colour. And this, just so you know where we are, that's the entrance to the garden there, where it's got the Biodiversity Garden sign. And I think that someone helpfully has trimmed all of the Viper's bugloss that I was trying to find earlier. They've trimmed it away, but never mind. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take a walk up the path, and if you remember, when we're doing sort of our more mindful activities, and when we're trying to walk in a more mindful way, it means that we're not, which is what I normally do, charging forward with my head first. You know, we're not thinking about where we're going to get to. We're thinking about, I suppose, how we're walking there. So again, I'm thinking about my feet, and I'm not charging ahead. I'm putting each foot, or trying to anyway, purposefully on the ground. So I'm feeling the backs of my feet, my heels on the ground first, rolling towards my toes. And that's really helpful actually. Sometimes when I'm feeling starting to get a bit stressed, I do that purposefully. Just spend a few minutes feeling my feet on the ground, and you know what, it can really help. And if it helps you next week, just let me know. So we're going to have a look now through some of the beds that people have, and we'll see what's there. This is bed number 1, and we'll see how this has changed. So these are the raised beds, 26 raised beds on the top of Belville, and it's quite nice to see now at the end of the growing, or towards the end of the growing season, the harvesting time, what people are harvesting. Beautiful lettuces, a sunflower that's growing up. Some broad beans. So I think we looked last time and these broad beans weren't quite ripe yet, and these are coming on. Look, some of these, particularly these ones over here, are quite big. These are the obviously end of, they look like mange tout actually rather than peas, so they're sort of coming towards the end of their time, and I think this looks like this person's leaving them for seed, so that's a really good idea. Let them go to seed and you can use the seed for next year. I think Lucy's been talking about harvesting seeds. This here is borage, so that's on bed number 1, 2, 3, I think we're bed number 3 or 4. This is borage. This is a great plant to use. Sometimes it's nice to have a little borage. See this sort of star-shaped flower. Sometimes it's good to have these sort of flowers and put them in ice cubes. They look really pretty. They're edible. And also the leaves rot down incredibly quickly to produce a nice sort of compost tea that you can feed your plants. This is mint. Look at that beautiful flower head, white flower head. Again, it's all edible, isn't it? Because it's mint. These are edible flowers. So it's nice sometimes just to let things go to flower and see what happens. I wander up. There's some lovely ones up here. Don't know if you can hear that. That's like a warning call of a bird. So that's probably something like, sounds either like a little chaffinch or a thrush or something, and it is obviously warning everyone that I'm around. It's either me or a cat. There are some peas. Strawberries are under a net on this one, and these are beetroot. I'll just excavate one. There you go, look. So beetroot are a great plant to grow because you can eat the leaves when they're smaller, but obviously you can eat the beetroot as well, raw in salads, or cook it and preserve it. Johnny's been doing some preserving workshops this week. So there's some nasturtiums on this bed, which are just fantastic colours. I would recommend, if you want to cheer yourself up, growing some nasturtium seeds. They come out in late summer. Everything's edible, flowers, leaves, everything, and has a really peppery taste. I'm going to wander up here. What I want to do is get right to the end of the beds to show you a surprise of a surprise garden that has suddenly sprung up right at the end of our raised beds. It's like a mystery garden. It suddenly seemed to appear overnight, and it's really beautiful. It just shows you what you can do if you're feeling a bit playful with a garden space. Here we are. So this is bed number 24. And look what someone's done with this. So they have created a sort of, I'll try and get like an overview of it first. So they've created like a Japanese garden. Obviously Japanese gardens are really good for meditation and Zen because they're all very symmetrical and calming in the way that they're formed. So I'm finding these pebbles, their colour and the way they have like this meandering route through the raised bed is really quite calming to look at. So I think they intend to do like a sort of pumped water feature through here, so that'll be amazing when it's working. I'm noticing that some of the plants here, they're using these wires around them to train them. Look here, there's another on here that's been trained, like a sort of bonsai. Let's have a look what this is. This is a type of, it's salix, a type of willow. So they're trying to train, just having fun, just trying new things. I think they've actually put some things in the ground as cuttings and they've just grown. You know, isn't that fun? So I'm just going to end by having a wee look over the water. Hi Susan, thanks very much for joining us, and Diane. I've not seen you, Diane, for ages, so hopefully we'll be able to meet up at Belville soon. Let's just end by having a wee look along the Clyde to see what's going on today. If you can't get out, particularly, I know most people can get out now for a little bit, but sometimes people just don't want to at the moment, or they might be really restricted from what they can get out. And the Clyde, I suppose, is a lot of people's go-to sort of sit spot because it's so beautiful. and it has lots of memories for people. And it might be that even if you can't visit it in person, you sort of hold it in your mind's eye as somewhere that you find really important and soothing and comforting, you know, in troubled times. So this is a lovely view here I'm going to end on. Just spend a little while looking at it. So we've got all the tugboats down the bottom there. So that's the tugboats. There's the Web Help Centre just in front of that, and then looking out towards Butte. Going up the river towards Butte. There's a dredger I've just seen making its way up. I'm trying to focus on that. There you go. That's been moving up and down the river all day, dredging from different places and depositing in other places. So I'm going to say goodbye to you now and wish you a wonderful weekend.